While you're practicing climbs and descents, you might be wondering, how do I control my airspeed? Because we're usually flying airspeeds in climbs and descents. So let's discuss this in a little bit more detail. In climbs and descents, you're going to use your pitch to control your airspeeds. That is, you're going to use your control column or yoke and reference that against your airspeed indicator. So imagine that you're in a car at the top of a hill and you put that car into neutral and you start rolling down the hill. Well, what's going to happen? It's going to speed up, right? It speeds up because gravity is taking over as you roll down the hill. Now, let's say we get to the bottom of that hill and there's a hill on the other side of the valley, all right? We're down at the bottom of the hill, we've sped up, we get across the valley, and we start going up the other side. What happens when we go up the other side? It slows down, right? Well, the same effect happens in an aircraft. If you pitch up, that is, you start going up the hill, you slow down. And if you pitch forward, that is, you start going down the hill, you're going to speed up. Let's look at this in practice. So let's say that we have a desired airspeed to maintain of 80 knots. And you'll need to pitch back to reach 80 in a climb and then let off some of that back pressure to maintain your airspeed. If you're too slow or too fast, you're going to need to maintain your pitch in one direction or another. And so let's look at this when we're using the control column or yoke to manage this. Here's an example of our airspeed being too fast. The red line is what we're flying, but the green line is what we want to be flying. In this case, you'll pull back gently on the yoke until your airspeed slows down and reaches your desired climb or descent speed, in this case 80 knots. And here's another example. Now your airspeed is too slow. We have a target climb speed of 80 knots, which is shown by the green line, and the indicated airspeed is closer to 60 knots, which is the red line there. So what do we need to do? Well, we want to speed up, right? So we need to push forward on the yoke, let gravity help us speed up, and then as we approach our target speed, reduce some of your control pressure to stop from speeding past it. Now, this takes practice, but the important thing is to keep up your scan while you're doing this and make sure that you don't fixate on that airspeed indicator at the expense of drifting off your heading or some other performance and then flying through your target altitude. So fixation is a big challenge when you're starting to learn climbs and descents because you end up focusing a lot on that airspeed indicator and you usually lose track of your altimeter and your heading indicator.